I get everybody's attention, please? Meeting number 32 is now called to order. This is April 15, 2019. It is 5:30 p.m., 5:30-ish p.m. in the Thomas J. Smith Council Chambers. Would you all please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Kathleen, can we do roll call, please?
Phillips.
Here.
Graham Murray. Here. McCampbell.
Here.
Rinker.
Here.
Wilson.
Okay, tonight we have a star-studded evening planned for you all. We thank you so much for coming, and we're going to get started right away and just roll downhill. But before we get to proclamations, we have special mayor's awards for tonight, and tonight we're recognizing past mayors. And somebody asked me, they said, well, why are you recognizing past mayors? They're already done doing their work. Well, once you're a mayor, you're always a mayor. And regardless, no matter where they're at, when I was considering running for city council, I reached out to past mayors and asked for some advice. You know, I know that there's still times that they probably get harassed and ask questions about things that they're not even involved with anymore, but somebody has to carry that load. Somebody has to carry that burden. And these gentlemen, we've been blessed to have some good mayors in this city and guys that have put out that given their best. And the thing is that what I want to recognize is that we've lost some mayors, and we only have, there's just a small fraternity of us that are still around. And I just want to recognize those shoulders that I stand on tonight. So it's my honor and my privilege to recognize past mayors tonight, starting with, I call him Mr. President. You know, I don't see him, but he's got to be in here somewhere.
He's there.
All right, there he is back there. This gentleman I've gotten several words of advice from. I've had the privilege of hearing him preach, and I let him borrow $5 back in the 60s. He's never paid me back, but I love the guy. And so, be it known on behalf of the city of Burlington, Iowa, I would like to thank you for your dedicated service as mayor of the city of Burlington from 1982 to 1983. It's a tough job, but someone has to do it. Thank you for stepping up and making Burlington a great place to live, work, and play. On April 15, 2019, this Mayor's Award is presented to former Mayor Jerry Rigdon. Come on down.
Take the lens cap off.
Mr. President.
I tell people that I was mayor up here. You see my picture. It was before the world was in color.
Mr. President, please have a word.
What?
Have a word. Thank you.
Already had the word. I'll have another one. I don't know what you guys are doing, but I never do a crowd like this. Except the time when we laid off firemen and policemen. Now, Mr. Furneaux, you never had to go through that. Yeah. Bill L. reminded me of that just a little while ago. But anyway, you do a great job. Thanks for doing what you do. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for coming down.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
This next gentleman is another man that I often, I have bled him dry of all the information in his brain. I shook up his brain. I took everything out that was good, but there's still good stuff left in there, trust me so. But just a wealth of knowledge. He's been involved in politics and just about everything in Burlington for some point in time, and he's still active. If you need to talk to him, he's more than ready to talk to you and give you advice and help. I appreciate you tonight. On behalf of the city of Burlington, Iowa, I would like to thank you for your dedicated service as mayor of the city of Burlington from 1994 to 1995. It's a tough job, but someone's got to do it. It's the same thing, but just with a different name, so just roll with me on that. Thanks for stepping up and making Burlington a great place to live, work, and play. On April 15, 2019, this Mayor's Award is presented to my friend, former Mayor Jeff M. Heelan. Jeff, come on down.
council for what you do, as Mayor Regnan did. I know it's not easy. It's very difficult, and you're oftentimes taken for granted, but keep it on, keep going. Shane makes me think we have a congressman that's retiring. I'd be happy to help you announce that you might seek that spot.
Quit playing. This isn't April 1st.
I
Quit
knew
playing.
that would get you.
Thanks,
for
Jeff.
coming down. This next mayor I always thought was one of our coolest. The guy's got cool hair. He's got one awesome leather jacket, which I'd love to steal. And I've never really had the opportunity to spend much time with him, but I've admired him from afar. And I want to present this to you, my friend. And you guys will recognize the cool hair when he comes up. He's a rock star. Being known on behalf of the city of Burlington, Iowa, I would like to thank you for your dedicated service as mayor of the city of Burlington from 2004 to 2007. It's a tough job, but someone's got to do it. Thank you for stepping up and making Burlington a great place to live, work, and play. On April 15, 2019, this mayor's award is presented to Dean Fennessy. Oh, no, I was just recognizing you were walking while I was talking. Same for you, my friend. This mayor's award is presented to former Mayor Mike Edwards. Would you come on down, my friend?
I really don't have anything to say except thank you very much, and you hit the nail on the head. It is a thankless job as well as some days a very tough job, but thank you, all of you, for stepping up and serving.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you. This next award is a gentleman. I've known his family ever since I can remember. I was in Players Workshop back in the day, and that's how I met his wife. And I call him John Wayne. And I give him a hard time all the time, but he's a dear, dear friend. I have a shirt. As a matter of fact, as soon as I ran for city council and I got elected, he said, "I've got some old shirts." So, "Are you interested?" I said, "Yeah, if they were yours, I'll take it." I can't even fit them, you know what I'm saying? But I've got a shirt of John Wayne. So I want to recognize you tonight. On behalf of the city of Burlington, Iowa, I'd like to thank you for your dedicated service as mayor of the city of Burlington from 2007 through 2011. It's a tough job, but you did it. Thanks for stepping up and making Burlington a great place to live, work, and play. On April 15th, 2019, this mayor's award is presented to former mayor John Wayne. Come on down. Bill L., come on down. You know what I mean? Mr. Mayor, a word, please. Thank you for coming.
A word, oh wow. What can I say that hasn't been said? I'm sure that there's some folks here to talk about the Cascade Bridge. And I was part of that, of course, in the initial stages in 2008, 2010. So, I don't know, I wish you all good luck on that. I see that as a major project. I don't know. I'd like to see it completed, but I'd like to see it closed right now too, so there you go. Controversy. Mayor, you're doing a great job. Council, I know all these people, and I think they're doing a great job too, so thank you very much. Just
Thank you,
keep
sir.
up the good
Thank you.
work.
Thank you, Bill.
And the last one, there's other mayors we're going to recognize, but they couldn't be here tonight, so I would like to say to Mayor Sandell, we'll be sending yours out to you, and to Mayor Scott. We were going to have you come down on a different date, and also to Mayor Sandell, our prayers are with your wife, who's ill at the moment. So those of you that are believers, welcome you to pray as well. This next one that I'm giving out, I had the opportunity to work with him in close quarters, and I really learned how to be a professional mayor from this guy. I don't follow advice well, so I get it, but what an act to follow, and he stands for Burlington, and everything that he did with prayer. He did prayerfully and thoughtfully. I'll never forget that about this guy. So I'm also very honored to give this mayor's award out. On behalf of the city of Burlington, Iowa, I would like to thank you for your dedicated service as mayor of the city of Burlington from 2012 to 2013. It's a tough job, but someone has to do it. Thank you for stepping up and making Burlington a great place to live, work, and play. On April 15, 2019, this mayor's award is presented to everybody's favorite typing teacher. Former Mayor Jim Davidson, come on. Yeah.
He's dating himself a little bit by talking about typing class.
I took typing class.
Yeah, I know you did. That's my favorite. I did. Jim didn't have much to work with me. It didn't exist when I was in high school.
Well, thank you, Mayor and Council. When I was in my teaching career, I never ever considered doing this, and then after that, it just happened. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I'd probably not do it again. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed working
Gotta
with
love an honest man.
I enjoyed working with you, Mr. Furneaux, and you, Mayor, and the rest of the people that were on council at the time. It's a fun job, a challenging job. I guess I would say, don't take yourself too seriously, and you'll be okay. Okay? Thanks.
Thank you,
Good
Jim.
advice.
And to all the mayors that came down, you guys have served enough. Get out of here. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. A lot of leadership right there. It's a lot of leadership right there. Thank you.
John Wayne. Okay, next we have some proclamations.
Whereas the National Day of Prayer is a tradition first proclaimed by the Continental Congress in 1775, and whereas in 1988, legislation setting aside the first Thursday in May each year as a National Day of Prayer was adopted, and whereas Congress has declared Thursday, May 2nd, 2019 as the 68th consecutive observance of the National Day of Prayer, and whereas it is fitting and proper to give thanks to God by observing this day in Burlington, Iowa, when all may acknowledge our blessings and express gratitude for them. Now, therefore, we, the City Council of the City of Burlington, Iowa, do hereby proclaim May 2nd, 2019 as a day of prayer, with the theme of Love One Another in Burlington, Iowa, and urge the citizens of Burlington, Iowa to observe this day in ways that are appropriate to its importance and significance. Signed and sealed this second day of May 2019, Shane A. McCampbell. This goes out to Karen Brownlee. You want to come on down?
Thank you so much. We are so grateful to the City of Burlington for supporting this wonderful event that's happening throughout the entire nation on the same day, the first Thursday of May in every year. And our theme this year is Love One Another, and that's what we're hoping to do for Burlington. I think it's a great place to live, work, and play, right? I got my bracelet.
That's right.
So, I'm hoping that everyone will come and participate. It's at the Port of Burlington at noon on the first Thursday of May. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you for coming down. It's good to see you brought your husband with you. She never goes anywhere without him.
Your Honor, I have a proclamation. whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for planting of trees. This holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and world, and whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, they can cut heating and cooling costs, moderate temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fire, and countless other wood products. Trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. Trees are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Burlington, Iowa has been recognized as a Tree City USA by the National Arbor Day Foundation and desires to continue its tree planting ways. Now, therefore, we, the City Council of Burlington, do hereby proclaim April 26, 2019 as Arbor Day in the city of Burlington, Iowa, and urge all citizens to support the efforts to care for our trees and woodlands and to support our city's community forestry program. We further urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the hearts and promote the well-being of the present and future generations. Signed and sealed this day, 15th day of April, 2019, Shane Amy Campbell. Patrick Moore, are you here?
There he is.
Well, I'd like to thank council for giving Burlington the opportunity to have a forestry program and to be able to keep this tradition going. Like John said, we are a Tree City USA. We are continuously, this is our 31st continuous year of being a Tree City USA representative in the state of Iowa. This year we had 80 cities in the state of Iowa get that award. We're gonna keep trying to make that greater and stronger throughout the state. And we're better to start than in this corner of the state. We just got done planting 75 trees this past week, so we're gonna keep trying to diverse our tree populations. We won't have an issue like EAB anymore. But I'd like to thank all of our staff, Ryan, Eric, and council and everybody else in the city staff that makes this available and possible for the city. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is me. Oh, thank you.
Okay, next we have Citizens Academy graduation. Congratulations to the graduates of the second annual Citizens Academy. 10 nominated members took part in a 9-week class that allows citizens of the community to participate in learning behind-the-scenes functions of the city. It is designed to teach citizens about how their local government works. I'm going to start again. It is designed to teach citizens about how their local government works for them. Throughout this 9-week course, the participants traveled to each city department to listen to presentations about how those specific departments operate, from budget items to day-to-day tasks. This class teaches the importance of understanding how the city operates and allows the city to be more transparent. Through these last 8 weeks, each participant has learned the tools to be an ambassador and a point of information for the community. So we've got ambassadors here tonight. I told you it was star-studded. Yeah, I told you. All right. So we want to recognize you tonight, and I think this is this just started. This is our second year of this. Just started last year, and I'm looking forward to many more years of it and more people getting involved in finding out how city operates. So we want to recognize those tonight. Matt, would you start with yours?
Absolutely. So I have Brandy Grinstead. I'll just read off the other 3 real quick. Mackenzie Green. And Tim Agnew.
If they just stand up there, then I'll get their picture all together.
You bet. You bet.
All right. Mayor, I have completing the graduation, Brandy Renteria. Mary Saxton. Norman Schaefer.
I just want to document Norman was causing problems in the meetings.
He did ask some good questions. Paul Walker.
I just want it known for the record that I'm an alumni of this exclusive group. I was part of it last year, and if you have the opportunity to attend Citizens Academy, I strongly encourage you to sign up. You learn so much. Really, really dynamic class. Also added to this list, Samantha Helberg. Not here tonight, okay?
Sam could make it tonight. I'll be accepting her award on behalf of Sam.
Phoebe McNeese. Not here? We'll clap for her anyway. Kelly Morris. Congratulations. Let me get everybody's picture.
Let's bring you guys up here. Let's do that. Let's have you guys read it. Let's bring that guys. Include you, John. Yeah, just right up here. Get up here, Teddy. You can have somebody else take that picture, peanut butter, so that you can be in it. Mr. Renneria? Even though he's mean to me, where's Randy?
You might have to swish.
Bring it in, guys. Bring it in. Act like we like each other. I know it's gonna be hard for some of you.
Everybody smile.
Okay, we got three.
Still can't believe Norman passed.
Very proud of that group.
Do you have anything to say about, before we shut it down, do you have anything to say about,
Your graduates.
Yes, I just wanted to thank everybody. This was a huge success, I think, this year, in large part to Tabitha's work beforehand, coordinating everything. It was a unique experience for me because I got to attend alongside all of the attendees here, and I'm also new to the city, so thank you to everybody who participated. Great questions, good group, and then everybody who presented with us too. So we look forward to hosting again next year. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
so for all of you that came down to receive your award, you guys may leave.
Or you're more than welcome to stay.
What are you eating? What's going on? Chili? Chili, little peanut butter sandwich. All right. Next on the agenda tonight is the consent agenda. All matters listed under item 1, consent agenda, having been discussed, are considered to be routine by the city council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. On the consent tonight, we have the usual, finances and miscellaneous, minutes of previous meetings, payroll and city claims, beer, liquor, wine, and cigarettes, reports, and bonds. We have 4 resolutions. The first is a resolution approving liens for non-payment pursuant to chapters 99, 100, and 106 of the Burlington Municipal Code. The second is a resolution approving the engineering services agreement with Veenstra and Kim for the Green Infrastructure Project in Locust Basin. The third is a resolution approving Historical Resource Development Program grant application for depot renovation. And the fourth is a resolution adopting guidelines for small cell facilities. We have a date for public hearing set for May 6th for consideration of the 2018-2019 budget amendment number 1. And we also have an appointment, Crystal Pope, to the Renewable Energy Committee We certainly appreciate your service, so thank you, Crystal, for signing up on that. Is there anybody from the audience that would like to have any of these items from the consent removed? Anybody except for Chris?
Chris Rupke, 2228 Madison Avenue. Number 2 under resolutions. The engineering for the green infrastructure project. Okay, thank you.
I got you.
Oh, sorry.
He's tearing up. He broke something.
I didn't see the mic sitting there, that's portable.
Okay, is there anybody else that would like to have any items removed from the consent? I see none. Council, are we good?
Good. Yeah.
Can I get a motion?
Your Honor, I have a motion to approve all listed items under consent agenda, except for item number 2, resolution approving engineering services with Veenstra and Ken.
Second.
Moved in second. Kathleen?
Phillips,
Aye.
Graham Murray,
Aye.
McCampbell,
Aye.
Rinker.
Aye.
Okay, this is time for consideration of an application for housing sustainability grant from the Iowa Economic Development Authority Community Development Block Grant Program. Mr. Tisland?
We have Southeast Iowa Regional Planning Commission here to go over the
There you
application
are.
as well, and run through kind of what the program is. And real brief overview, it's a owner-occupied rehab grant that individuals that own their homes in this neighborhood can apply if the city receives funds to have funds to rehab their house up to $24,999. Typically, it's been siding, mechanical, some of those critical infrastructure or items for homes. But Susan's going to run through kind of the details on the program. There's some requirements to run through for the CDBG public hearing, so she'll run through those.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Susan Coffey. I'm with the Southeast Iowa Regional Planning Commission. Just going over public hearing requirements. The need for the project was the Housing Sustainability Project was identified by the City of Burlington and Southeast Iowa Regional Planning Commission staff. It is also a goal of Burlington's comprehensive plan to encourage owner-occupied rehabilitation programs and opportunities for homeowners to low and moderate income families through a grant opportunity. How the proposed activity was funded. It's going to be funded through the Community Development Block Grant from the Iowa Economic Development Authority, the City of Burlington, and the Great River Housing Trust Fund. The application is due on May 3rd, 2019. The requested amount that the City of Burlington will be applying for is $238,994 from the Iowa Economic Development Authority for a Housing Sustainability Grant. Federal funds that will benefit low to moderate income individuals for this program. The guidelines are cannot exceed the 80% median income through Des Moines County. For example, a 2-person household cannot make more than $43,400. That's just an example. Another one, 5-person is $58,600. The activity will be conducted, a rehab activity will take part in Burlington's targeted neighborhood, which is roughly bounded by 9th Street and 4th Street to Locust Street and Lewis Street. We are under the rehab process with the Housing Sustainability Grant. Households will not be permanently displaced. Some households may be asked to move temporarily while such things as plumbing, electrical, or lead-based paint issues need to be dealt with. Proper coordination between the contractor and homeowner can prevent displacement. Plans to assist persons in displacement. Any household that would have a temporarily relocation will be told to do so for their own safety. The temporarily displacement will be paid for out of the Housing Sustainability Grant. The proposed activity will be used to stabilize homes in the targeted neighborhood. The rehab items that would be covered are things like electrical, plumbing, heating and venting, lead mitigation, windows, roof, siding, foundation repair. The program does not cover things such as new construction, landscaping, and appliances. Any questions?
Council?
No.
Any questions or concerns from the audience? Chris Repke.
Sorry. You have a lot of things that pique my interest tonight.
Hey, ma'am, do your thing, bro.
So,
Can I get your name and address, please?
Yep. Chris Repke, 2228 Madison Avenue. One of the concerns, I've been talking about the last year or so about putting money back into the older neighborhoods. This I would support. The one thing I would like to see, though, is the city match is only 10 grand, which is less than 5% of the whole grant. I guess with my speaking on putting more money back into the older neighborhoods and improving things, I guess I would like to see at least a minimum of a match of the grant of 10% by the city rather than just $10,000, which would bring it up to $23,000. I know it's more money out of the budget, but I've been speaking and talking about putting more money back in the older neighborhoods. I'd like to see the city put more toward that grant and as a match. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Any other concerns from the audience? Council? Okay, I'm satisfied. Let me get a motion to close.
Your Honor, I have a motion to close.
Second.
Moved in second, Kathleen.
Phillips.
Aye.
Graham Murray. Aye. McCampbell.
Aye.
Rinker.
Aye. Your Honor, I have a resolution approving an application for housing sustainability grant for the Iowa Economic Development Authority Community Development Block Grant Program.
Second.
Kathleen, let's vote.
Phillips.
Aye.
Graham Murray. Aye. McCampbell.
Yes.
Rinker.
Yes.
Brings us to number two. Number two is a consideration of a transit grant application. Mr. McGregor.
Good evening. This is the annual transit funding grant. I have a PowerPoint presentation too that maybe I'd have you throw up first. This is the annual public hearing for the transit funding. Part of our funding system is through the federal transit assistance and then the state. All of it flows through the Iowa DOT, and I'll have him hit the next slide. As you can see here, fiscal year 20's state transit assistance and then federal transit assistance is up, more than $70,000 from the previous years, which helps reduce the amount of local match necessary to run the transit agency. And below, I have what we submit in our TIP, our transit improvement plan. It's the capital purchases. We have 4 buses on there. We don't necessarily intend to purchase all 4 buses in the one given year, but you kind of strategy-wise, you put the possible buses forward in hopes that they, 1 or 2 could get funded. And actually, I received word, I don't have the formalized documentation, but bus 725 and 726 are being funded this next year. So we should see something shortly. So it's good to see the funding is up on both things. So, and that should be the last slide for that.
Questions or concerns from the audience? Okay, I see none. Council?
The only question I have, Nick, because I'm unfamiliar with, how many passengers are 725 and 26?
These are light-duty buses, so they fit, depending on wheelchair capacity, anywhere from 25 to 35.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Motion.
Your Honor, I have a motion to close.
Second.
Moved in second, Kathleen.
Phillips.
Aye.
Graham Murray. Aye. Campbell.
Aye.
Rinker.
That's
Aye.
McCampbell.
McCampbell.
Act like you know me, please.
Rinker.
Aye.
Thanks.
Your Honor, I have a resolution approving transit grant application.
Second.
Let's take it to vote.
Phillips.
Aye.
Graham Murray. Aye. McCampbell.
Campbell says aye.
Rinker.
Aye.
Okay. Brings us to number three. Number three is a consideration of plans and specs for the 2019 Recplex Road Extension Project. Mr. McGregor.
This project is a RISE, DOT RISE, so it's revitalization, oh gosh, I don't even know what the acronym stands for.
Revitalize Iowa Sound Economy.
Yep, that one. Of which we received $418,000 for. You can see it on the map here. It's parceled out differently. The red section is the portion of the road that the DOT RISE will fund. The reason for the blue section not being funded is because we create open access to the parcels by the section that runs east-west. So that they don't want to fund the rest of it. So the rest of it's funded through TIF. Some of the other things I'd highlight on the project is the trail movement that previously went down kind of the drive path where parking was, shifts in between where new parking that had been discussed with the indoor rec facility is going in. That will be installed during this project timeline. So it'll be a shift in the trail, which I think is a good safety feature just because it was kind of in the parking lot with traffic. So if you'd hit the next slide for me, I can talk a little bit about this is kind of the transition from the indoor rec facility, some of the sidewalks that some of which they've installed, and some of which the city's going to connect to bring them into the parking that we have. So if you'd hit the next one for me, this is the dollars. The engineer's estimate is 1.41 million, of which $996,000 is TIF funded. The remaining is the RISE grant dollars that we talked about. The project schedule says that we're going out tomorrow. I think the DOT had a couple of minor clarifiers they get really specific on some of the sheets that we sent out. So I don't know that will be cleared until probably midweek this week. So we'll go out to bid. Receiving on May 7th, that may change depending on what the DOT comes back with. But this is a relatively easy road project in comparison. There's no competing traffic that you really have to deal with. The biggest logistical issue is the traffic at the indoor rec facility, since there's no paved road there, and kind of the traffic that uses that place. So other than that, it's pretty up front and should be a good project.
Okay. Does anybody from the audience have any questions or concerns? Anyone besides Marlon? And definitely not Chris. Just kidding.
Fine.
How you doing, Marlon?
Barnum McKee, 1121 South 12th Street. Could you put that thing back up? So, which section are you doing first, the red or the blue? Or are you doing it all at once?
It'll be done in 2 stages, and actually, I think that the way that the project will get laid out, and Nick, you can correct me, but the first phase would be the east-west, and then around to the north far enough to get to the entry point on the southern end for the indoor rec facility. And the second phase then would be to do the northern half of the north-south road. And the reason for the break between the 2 phases is to make sure that there's access to the indoor rec facility during construction. But this is outlined on here in the 2 pieces, red versus blue. When we've sent in the application to DOT for the RISE funding, what they'd be willing to pay a percentage on, they determined what they were willing to pay based off of what it opens up for access to potential lots to be sold for economic development purposes.
All right, my question was, with soccer going on, since now I have to park on the paved section, that's not gonna be messing with the soccer for the kids playing this summer?
It won't mess with soccer. What it will have some difficulty with, as you can imagine, as they're doing the parking on, when they're doing that north-south phase, the parking on the eastern side of that parking lot is going to cause some limitation on access for parking back in that area. And they know that. And the other part of that is it delaying too long, and the indoor rec facility is concerned about their ability to access too, if they don't get that road extension done prior to fall.
I know it wasn't brought up, but aren't you talking about doing a roundabout at Division and West Burlington Avenue?
We've talked about it, and Nick, do we even have that in the CIP now?
So it's not gonna be this year, it's not gonna,
What's that? For 2024?
okay. So it's not gonna be screwing everything up, okay.
I can answer those questions. The largest part of the reason why it's divided on here isn't necessarily construction phasing. It's our bidding requirements when we go to show the DOT.
Because of the funding.
We have it in 2 different sheets, RISE funded and then city funded. So that way we can keep the back end paperwork for DOT. The construction phasing, in all likelihood, will go from West Burlington Avenue westward and then create that south loop to give access to the indoor rec facility, the south driveway, and then the rest of it will probably be done kind of later in the fall after the rec facilities, general traffic kind of dies down, so.
Good deal.
Mr. Ripke?
I feel like a broken record.
Hey, man, somebody's gotta break it.
You should sit closer to the mic, I'll tell you that.
Oh, I need the exercise.
Okay.
Oh, speak closer to the
No,
mic?
no, no, just sit right there,
Oh,
that way.
well, that should be hopefully. Chris Repke, 2228 Madison Avenue, Burlington, Iowa here. I know I'm kicking against the boulder, but I'd ask you to say no to this project. Again, it goes back to what I've been speaking about before and other things, that the older parts of town need the infrastructure money. I know this is TIF, but again, TIF does fall back on all taxpayers as we kind of talked about a number of months ago at a meeting. So again, I would ask, say no. I mean, this right now, with this, it's about $1 million. You get 500,000 to the parking already. You're talking about $1.5 million here toward the recplex area, when I believe the older neighborhoods all over town need this money for roads and other infrastructure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Chris, I appreciate your consistency. Anybody else from the audience? I'm gonna shut you down. All right then. Council, we're good?
My questions were answered.
Okay, let's get a motion to close.
Your Honor, I have a motion to close.
Second.
Moved in second. Kathleen, let's vote.
Phillips.
Aye.
Graham Murray. Aye. McCampbell.
Aye.
Rinker.
Aye.
Your Honor, I have a resolution approving for plans and specifications for the 2019 Recplex Road Extension Project.
Second.
Moved in second. Kathleen, let's vote.
Phillips.
Aye.
Graham Murray. Aye. McCampbell.
Aye.
Rinker.
Aye.
Okay, moving forward to number 4, a time for consideration of the plans and specifications for the 2019 Dankworth Park Pool Improvement Project. Mr. Tislin?
This project is associated with constructing the bubble dome over the Dankworth Park Pool for use to make the facility a year-round use. Currently, the city has a lease with Most LLC to operate the pool in the city's off-season. The city will continue to operate the pool in the summer seasons without the dome on it. But this project for the plans and specs includes removal and replacement of concrete deck and fencing around the existing pool, including a footing for the bubble, upgrades to the existing pool house to condition it for year-round use, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing improvements to the facility to accommodate the pool bubble, storage building construction, and vestibule construction connecting the pool house to the bubble. This work is to the city's pool facility, so it is going through the public bidding process. However, the Southeast Iowa Swim Club is raising the funds to pay for this construction project. And the Southeast Iowa Swim Club also is purchasing the bubble and maintain ownership of the actual bubble per the approved lease. The engineer's estimate for the pool improvement project is $225,000. Again, that is funds raised by the swim club. Going out to bid tomorrow with a pre-bid meeting on April 22nd at 2 at the pool, and bid date of May 7th here. Start date would not be until the city's pool season is over in August, and their project completion date is November 1st. Again, with this being a project by the Southeast Iowa Swim Club, the city would request that funds be on hand prior to award of contract or bid, or funds secured in a letter of guarantee from a local bank securing those funds for payment for the project.
Sounds good. Questions from the audience? You guys have been fantastic tonight. Even Terry, and she's got to sit by Rob. So, council, are we good?
Yes. I'm good.
Okay. Can I get a motion to close?
Your Honor, I have a motion to close.
Second.
Moved in second. Kathleen?
Phillips.
Aye.
Graham Murray. Aye. McCampbell.
Aye.
Rinker.
Aye.
Your Honor, I have a resolution approving plans and specifications for the 2019 Dankworth Park Pool Improvement Project.
Second.
Moved in second. Kathleen, let's vote.
Phillips.
Aye.
Graham Murray. Aye. McCampbell.
Aye.
Rinker.
Aye.
Okay. Number 5 is a consideration of an ordinance amending various sections of Chapter 34, Human Rights Commission of the Burlington Municipal Code. Steph, what do you got for us?
Okay, we're amending this ordinance. There are just a few changes that I wanted to see. Basically, updated the language to make sure it reflects what the commission is doing. Basically, the commission is to be there to educate and support the Iowa civil rights. Anytime I get a complaint here at the city, I refer it up to the Iowa Civil Rights Commission. So I give them the website, I give them the toll-free number, and all the complaints are handled up there where they have the attorneys and the staff to handle it. So basically, I've taken out the wording where it talks about us investigating claims, because we do not do that. And also, I wanted to change the amount of members it takes to get a quorum. Right now in the ordinance, it's 5, and there's only 7 members, so sometimes we struggle getting 5 people there for a quorum. 4 is the majority of what our commissions are, 4 out of 7 members there is a quorum, so. And again, this is ran by our attorney, and he didn't have any other changes, so.
Okay. Any questions or concerns from the audience? I see none. Council?
I'm good.
Okay. Can I get a motion to close, please?
Your Honor, I have a motion to close.
Second.
Moved and second. Kathleen?
Phillips?
Aye.
Graham Murray?
Aye.
McCampbell?
Aye.
Rinker?
Aye.
Kathleen, let's vote on it.
Your Honor, I have a motion for preliminary adoption of the first reading of an ordinance amending various sections of Chapter 34 Human Rights Commission of the Burlington Municipal Code.
Second.
Phillips?
Aye.
Graham Murray?
Aye.
McCampbell?
I don't like the way you said aye. Yes, please.
Rinker?
Aye.
Okay, ayes have it. Which brings us to
Resolutions.
Your Honor, I have a resolution approving permanent closure of Cascade Bridge.
before we get started on this one, I know we've got some people here for Cascade Bridge.
I do need a second.
Second.
Thanks, Smarty Pants. Before we get started on this, I want to let you know first off that if you've got something on your chest, we're gonna let you get it off tonight. That being said, we probably have a big group of people that may want to say something, and to give everybody the opportunity to speak, we're just gonna ask you not to give your magnum opus tonight, that we will be available afterwards. But if everybody in here has something to say about Cascade Bridge, that everybody in here is gonna say something about Cascade Bridge, we're gonna get down to it. So we don't want to shut anybody out, and we don't want anybody to think that we're just trying to blow you off. So let's get down to business. Mr. McGregor, I'll be right back.
This resolution, as Brennan brought up, following the discussion item from last week's meeting on the closure of Cascade Bridge to pedestrian traffic. I read last week a letter that was derived from a meeting that we biannually meet with our bridge inspecting group, which is Calhoun and Burns out of Des Moines. And I brought up Cascade Bridge since we still have it open to pedestrian traffic. I simply asked the question of, should we be testing this? And so that began another conversation. Rather than testing the bridge, which was going to be in the $30,000 to $40,000 bracket because of the equipment needed to test it, the engineering firm said that they didn't need to test it. They could use the previous rating, which was done in 2008. And then they wrote me this letter. I will reread it if you would like me to.
Please.
I will skip some of the background conversation, and I will go into the conclusions. The Cascade Bridge is in poor condition and as such is a safety hazard. Given the age and condition of the structure, it was a prudent decision to close the bridge. Due to the fracture-critical construction of the bridge, sudden failure is a risk. The bridge continues to deteriorate due to environmental conditions. Operating rating of existing bridge is 4 tons, controlled by a diagonal tension member in span 3. Even though the bridge was closed to vehicular traffic, pedestrians continue to traverse the bridge. A 4-ton pedestrian load in span 3 is readily achievable. Gatherings of pedestrians on span 3 of the bridge may well exceed the operating rating. And then it kicks into the recommendations. As long as the existing Cascade Bridge remains in place at its current location in such condition, the safety of the public is at risk. It will continue to deteriorate and as such increases the potential for abrupt failure of this fracture-critical structure. The bridge should remain closed to vehicular traffic and pedestrians should be restricted from the bridge. Additional closures should be installed to prevent pedestrians from being able to access the roadway or sidewalk areas of the bridge. Based on that recommendation, I then wrote a recommendation of my own to follow suit, that the city needs to close the bridge using chain link fence and signage, and not allow pedestrian traffic. So that is what we're prepared to do, and that's what the resolution calls for, is to Public Works staff to install the necessary or remove signage, as there's some signs that speak otherwise, and then install the chain link fence. So that's the resolution in front of you. I can answer any questions that you may have.
So they're mainly concerned about like when the municipal, the band, let's put it that way, has got groups of people and would happen to congregate as they come across on panel 3. Is that correct? They're not worried about the bridge collapsing under its own weight?
Not at this time, but without a raid loading or a weight rating, you don't know what the determination of that is. So
Correct.
4
It's
tons.
been 10 years
So
since.
if it's 4 tons, one person is not going to specifically bring that bridge down. However, we don't know what that rating is because we haven't conducted one.
Okay.
I don't know that it is necessary based on the information to redo a weight rating. It isn't going to improve. And based on the 4-ton limit, they're recommending that we close the pedestrian traffic. So yes, the larger groups are the bigger concern because of just the sheer weight that that type of pedestrian traffic causes.
Okay. We've got some people down here that want to talk. If you have a representative for your group, you're welcome to do that as well. Again, we don't want to shut you down, so who's first?
Go ahead, Dean.
I see people with papers. Again, I see people with several papers, so we want to let
Okay, I'll
everybody
try
get a
to
chance
make
to
it
talk.
short and sweet. My name is Steve Finney. I live in Northern Drive. My family came here in 1800s. They used to own a vineyard and wine thing. Back then, used to give out wine and to the people passing by or the saloons, and basically that used to have vineyard out there by the airport, and they have a cemetery out there, go about 800s. But anyway, about Cascade Bridge, that my feeling about this, that I heard you got a TIF for the riverfront. I can't see how you can get that, but you can't get something like that for Cascade Bridge. I mean, I don't know about all the government red tape, all that. I'm just an everyday person. But I just cannot see how you can't get the money together to do something about that bridge. I still say that we have a beautiful park there. It would be nice if that was open where people can walk or drive to that park. I know we got another hour to get in there, but I think it still would be nice to do that. Maybe if we had a jar and a business so people donate some money, or maybe we would go rah, 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 Cascade Bridge, rah, 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 or have a sit down like they did in the 70s. But I think we do need to do something about, it would be nice to have that bridge open to walking or driving a car. I mean, I don't use that park because I'm just myself. I'm a single person. But I think it would be nice he talks about the old part of Burlington, to have that bridge either fixed or build a brand new one. That's my opinion.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dean. Yes, sir?
It's not what the conversation is.
My name is Steve Rowland. I'm at 2838 South Main Street. The city council no doubt understands my frustration over the last number of years with the bridge. At this point in time, I think it's crazy to close it off from bicycles and pedestrians. We need to find a way to keep it open. I know there's huge budget constraints because I've talked to Jim Fernew a number of times and he's been very responsive to my concerns. I'm recently frustrated because with this Calhoun report, I requested that a week ago. My most fun course in college was structural engineering, which lasted a whole year. It was very hard. I got all A's. And so I have an idea of all the members in that bridge, and I have the 2012 report, which I've read numerous times. But no one has responded to my recent request for the information that Calhoun just issued. And I'm disappointed with that, because I would like to know which member is span 3. So it seems as though we're lacking some transparency here. And I would hope that the city could, in a situation like this, when there's a report that we've paid for, it could be published someplace so I could go to the city works building, the library, or wherever, so I have easy access to this stuff, because I'm getting kind of disappointed. I think that's about it. I just think that to close the bridge now, I realize there's people that think we just have to close it, and there's other people that want to restore it or build a new one, and we don't have the money. You know, Jim has explained that to me. But to close it from pedestrians and bicyclists seems crazy to me at this point. And in fact, if you decide to close it, then you better close the road below it. Because if something could happen with the bridge, then it could happen to the road below. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Next. Yes, ma'am.
Marta Smith, 2011 Orchard Street. Just wanted to put my 2 cents in. I think it's just putting another nail in the coffin as far as South Hill. We have the ghetto stigma already. I've heard people are not recommending that people buy houses on South Hill. I love South Hill. Everyone walks their dogs, they walk, they ride their bikes. I have a 3-mile trek through the park every night. I just think it's very sad that we would close it. And we seem to have money for a lot of other things, but this has gone on for 20 years and never been resolved. Even if you tear it down and open it up a footbridge, I don't think you can just close that part of town off. So, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Marty. Who's next? Joe?
I'm Joanne Ott from 2106 Osborne. I'm on the other side of town. I've always lived on North Hill, but I have good memories of the bridge. My sister and I used to call it the singing bridge, because when you went over it on your bicycle or in the car, it made that singing sound. I would hate it if it was torn down, but I know we all have to be practical. I'd like to see some kind of federal money put into it somehow, somewhere. This park is listed in the top 10 parks in the state of Iowa, and that's one of the gateways to the park. The bridge, I thought, somebody told me it was on a national historic bridge. And to me, that seems like there should be some federal money in order to restore the national federal, you know, some kind of a national bridge. I don't know. I'm not I haven't looked into any of that. I'm just telling you what most of the feelings are. I understand about the safety of the bridge. The last gentleman was correct. There's people that live down under there. There's a boat club under there. I don't know how you can do that. Close it to up above but not below. That doesn't make sense. I know some people have said they don't like the speeding cars on Main Street, so they're glad it's closed. I think you could maybe put some speed bumps in there, some along there, if that was a problem. There's got to be ways to work this out somehow. And I just feel this is part of our history. So I know tonight you're talking about closing to pedestrians, but I haven't been here at some of the other meetings and I just wanted to tell you how I feel about it. It's an important part of Burlington. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
for coming down. Rob?
How's everyone doing? Robert Kreitzer, 810 North 5th. I am a previous Citizens Academy graduate, and I received a Mayor's Award in June of last year as well. So I also, in addition to being an assistant store manager at Walmart, I write for the Hawkeye, deliver papers. I do a lot of stuff in Burlington, so I'm very involved. What I have For the paper this week, I cover some of the history of Cascade Bridge. It seems like some of these people might be interested in what I wrote. It was constructed in 1896. It's steel truss bridge which connects South Main to the entrance of the parks like we talked about. It's unique in design because it's inverted. It's a Baltimore truss bridge that has all the steel beneath it. So it gives you an unobstructed view of the river. You can see all the landscape over in Illinois. It's breathtaking. It's beautiful. And then I called it the Spooky Bridge when I was a kid because if you look down, you could see the ravine below you, and it was just kind of nerve-wracking to walk or bike across it. But it had that distinctive noise that she was talking about when you went across it with your car. It was placed on the National Register of Historic Places in 1998. And then in 2008, we closed it to vehicle traffic due to concerns about structural integrity. And it's been 10 years since anyone's had the opportunity to enjoy that distinctive hum, or 10 years since anyone's had a chance to try to hold their breath while they get across it. I know some people were doing that. It's been 10 years and no repairs have been made, and now we're gonna probably have to close it to foot and bicycle traffic. And I understand the reason. It's just not safe. Because of the style of the bridge, only one section has to fail and the whole bridge is gonna collapse. I spent my whole morning researching this. I spent my whole morning looking up everything I could find about this bridge. So yeah, 3 sections of the bridge might be rated for 10 tons, but that one that's got the 4-ton section, if that one fails, the whole bridge goes and it goes into the ravine. So, I'm not a bridge builder, but I think that's, more risk than you wanna take. People can be mad that it's closed and about the inconvenience, but I think we'd be devastated by a tragedy which cost us human lives, especially if it just defied common sense, Why be stubborn about it? We can just close it and deal with what we're gonna do. So that does bring about the real question, what are we gonna do about the bridge? We can repair or rebuild, or the other alternative, which we've been doing, which is nothing. But I think that we've already done that for 10 years. So I think the most common mistake that we make in government, even locally, is to spend money we don't have. And I think you guys, you're trying not to do that. We don't have the money. In June of 2018, we were offered a grant of $1.5 million, if I'm correct, to rebuild the bridge, but we declined the grant because we would have had to start work by October of 2021, and we didn't have the money to finish the project. So I think we were being responsible there. I think it was also offered in 2014, and we didn't have the money then either. People asked about the Tiger Grant, how we applied for that. We applied for that, and we asked for the bridge to be part of that, and they said, no, you need to narrow it down. So they said, it's gotta be downtown, it's gotta be riverfront, it's gotta be Maine and Jefferson. So they tried to get money through the Tiger Grant, but the government wouldn't do it. So it's another example of, we were offered help, but not help where and when we needed it. So you guys had to prioritize things, and before we mentioned that if you do the bridge, that could be 5 years of road projects that we just don't do. We're in the middle of working on stuff now that we just can't stop working on. We've got potholes, we've got roads that need repaired. We just fixed the Mount Pleasant Street Bridge because that was a high-traffic, high-volume area, and that had priority of the Cascade project. So, we were in dire financial straits before Mr. Furneaux was on board with us, and I have a lot of respect for you, Jim, I really do. I think that you've done a great job keeping us on track financially, and I think we're on the right path. I think you guys talked about 2024 before as a time to get our shovels out and be project ready, so I think I'm okay with that. If we have to close that bridge to pedestrian traffic to keep us all safe, it's a few more years, it's longer than anybody wanted, but I think that's acceptable, especially since we've kind of inherited the problem as we've gone down the line. Every council, all those former mayors that were here, they all dealt with it too, and you guys are the ones fixing it, so I can't be mad at you. And then, whoever follows up with you is gonna be there when it's over, so. I think we do have to exercise a little patience and some planning to make this happen. Financially, I think you have to know where you're at and where you're going before you can build a bridge.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rob.
Just to clarify, I've been here since 2012, and we didn't have the money then, but you can be mad at me, but you can't be mad at them. They're just getting
He's
started.
got $10 million and wants their name on the bridge.
Just to clarify one thing.
Yes, sir.
It was $1 million that we had, though it was verbally said 1.5 million, so you did catch that. There's two separate pots. There's $1 million versus 500,000, and as they were talking about it, they did not catch that you had to do one or the other. So it is, that fund, though, is one that would come up potentially again. I mean, we've been eligible several times. The bridge stays at the same rating category, and that's an annual pot of money that sits out there for bridge replacement projects. And the other part, you mentioned discussion about where we're headed from here. That's not for tonight. This is about the closure for pedestrian traffic. But we do have that plan to be on the work session for the April 29 meeting. So at that meeting, we will be the council will be discussing what do they think should be the future, and how do we address future steps with the bridge.
And we are taking emails. Some people think that we don't want to receive emails. We do. We appreciate that information coming in. So utilize this time as we are going through this conversation and topic to send in your thoughts that way as well, especially those that can't make it down to a meeting. Is there anybody else?
I'd like to address the audience. If no one else is-
Yes, please, come on.
Been in my car all day, so I feel like I'm.
I've had those days, Lisa.
My name is Lisa Walsh. I currently am Des Moines County's representative for the Iowa-Mississippi River Parkway. We are 10 counties that do a lot. We had our fearless leader was from Clinton, Edith Feither, and she left us a lot of big projects to get done. But we get funding from the state of Iowa through the DOT. Craig, I can't think of Craig's last name. Craig was on the Iowa-Mississippi River Parkway when my mother was commissioner for Des Moines County, as well as Gene Enke and so forth. So Martin Graber has taken the Lee County, and I am Des Moines County. Martin is currently the chair of our group, and I'm the co-chair. We met in Clarkdale, Mississippi. I sit on the Technical Committee of Transportation. Our Mississippi River Parkway Commissioner for the DOT Transportation is Carol Zott from the DOT in Minneapolis. I had a conversation with Carol because she laughs about our Cascade Bridge. She says, I just don't get it. There's ways to get the state's attention. There's ways to get the federal attention. But you just kind of, and I can understand that you need to close it and, make it safe for the community in the meantime. But I think you need to work through the process and see if there is some funding that's available through the emergency session. There's a DOT meeting April 14th in Cedar Rapids. The Southeastern Iowa Planning will be with them. I will tell you one thing, that I came home really energized about maybe 9 months ago. There was funding that was coming through the Trump administration, $1.5 billion for shovel-ready projects. Well, it kind of hit some roadblocks, just like everything in the Republican trying to get it done. But we had a powerful speaker that used to be the Department of Transportation for the Clinton administration. He had read every management plan for the 10 states that were there. He's very much into infrastructure projects, and he encouraged groups of states to come to Washington during Infrastructure Month, or come when the Southeast Regional Planning comes, and make your case. Because Iowa-Mississippi River Parkway doesn't quite have the buy-in that some of these other states, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Arkansas, they have the buy-in from their federal for their legislature, their House members. We don't. Another thing that we fall short on is with the Mississippi River Towns and Rivers incentives.
Most of the states that are in situations that are in this situation have leaned out to Colin Westenkamp with that group. The pilot, which is an attorney out of Arkansas, and the co-pilot for the organization for the Mississippi River Parkway. Spent time with their legislature out in DC and take it. And I encourage maybe when the regional, when they go out to Washington, to schedule an appointment with this Ron Slater. He's in private practice now. But, you know, there's a lot of ways to look at it. West Memphis had a bridge very similar to Burlington's problem, and they were able to do it with public funding through the community. That's a big stretch for Burlington, Iowa. We're not Memphis, Tennessee, I know that. But I think you need to kind of reach out to some of these partners, you know, like the commissioners, like Carol. Carol's boss in Minneapolis is the representative from the DOT for the Trump money, for the 1.5. Carol does all his research for him to make him look good when he goes to Washington to do his presentation. But I just think sometimes we get the cart ahead of the horse, and I think you need to. There have been a lot of projects. You know, we've thrown in the towel before. It's all been recent. The Hotel Burlington, the depot, you know, selling the auditorium. I just think you need to. I think it's fine to close it, you know, for the safety. But I think before you put the wrecking ball or to decide, I think you need to research. That's my thought. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa. Thank you. Boy, she came in with a jackhammer of information.
Hi, my name is Amanda Mansheim, and I live at 28 Cascade Terrace. I have been, my husband and I moved to Burlington 3 years ago across the country to come live in Burlington. His family lives here. We wanted to make our home here. And we bought a house by Cascade. And we pay taxes. We pay a lot of taxes. And as a taxpayer, I assume that certain things are going to be taken care of. Roads and bridges. That's like roads and bridges. So my son played baseball, and we walked to Danquart from our house. I also think that if it is unsafe, which it does seem to be, that street underneath is just a giant problem looming. And I think we just need to think of the repercussions of all of that. I think this came up a short time ago. This was closed in 2008. It's been a long time since 2008. As a homeowner, if my car's gonna die, I budget. I figure it out if I need to get a new car. I don't just go without a car and assume, just, you know, did we not know that the bridge was gonna fall down? Sorry, I didn't think I was gonna be the mad one tonight, I'm sorry.
It's all right, dude.
But I really
Get it out.
I have strong feelings about this.
Get it out.
In terms of the legality issues, I think that's huge. I think the kids climb underneath that bridge, and that's scary to me. And if we close that, I really can't get to Danquart. And I think there's a lot of repercussions that we need to think about. I don't like any of them, but here we are. If I'm in a budget crisis in my household, I need to figure it out, and that's where we are. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming down.
Thanks, Amanda.
Who's next? Mr. Repke.
I wasn't really planning, but it is. Chris Repke, 2228 Madison Avenue. You need to close Cascade Bridge if it's unsafe. If it falls and somebody's hurt or killed, you got a bigger lawsuit. After all, you've closed the sewer trail because of that issue. And now you've really kind of cut off that area from the parks to go around from Cascade Bridge. I believe it's 1.5 miles. If you go up to Harrison, Harrison to Madison, Madison to the entrance of Danquart, that's about 1.5 miles. As for not having the money, yes, you do. It all depends on priorities back to the older neighborhoods. $1.5 million toward the Replex, $600,000 to down street parking downtown, and tentatively another $1 million spent on boat docks downtown. There we have, what, $2.5 million, $3.2 million, right there. So it's all on priorities. New or the older neighborhoods? My mantra is, you can have the new, but if the older neighborhoods are going down, the new does you no good. Thanks.
Repke. Come on, Mama. You right there in that front row. That's right. Come on in here. Uh-oh, she's got her cane. I got a bad back. She's about to get somebody. Take your time.
Well, I'm a new face tonight. This is the first time I've ever attended a council meeting, always have, and always
for
wanted
you.
to be, and tonight's the night.
All right.
So I hope what I have to say, which I'm sure you will all take in serious consideration. Mayor, council, my name's Monica Hudson, and I reside at 714 Whiteman Street. That's located in the area of the corner of South Street and Madison Avenue by that gas station. Born and raised here. Been married 50 years. Last year. Be 51 this year.
Congratulations.
Maybe a clap
Yeah.
for them.
So anyway, I've always loved Burlington. It's just a beautiful city. Many things to see, places to go. We had 2 children, and one of the places we enjoyed going was Crable Park to go see that fountain. You know, and we always try to guess what the next color would be, and so forth. And a way to get to that park was Cascade Bridge, right? So it will be greatly missed. I hope they will find some solution instead of just wondering, well, what can we do and not do nothing? I have a couple suggestions. They might have been suggested in the past, but we'll find out. But do we really have to have a bridge? Why not a road, not a bridge? Fill it in, tear the bridge down, and do the safety. No scraping, because I read where there's rust, and that would be dangerous to fall down below into the waterway that's down below, which leads into the Mississippi. So fill it with landfill of some kind and make a road to go across it. Now, I know it'll take time, but you need to get on it. Don't wait and start 5 years from now. You know, what if they started 15 years ago when the bridge, I'm just guessing, was considered to be dangerous at that time. And right now, a good fill going on right now is what? The Tama building bricks. That's a lot of fill, isn't it? Where could that go? Below the Cascade Bridge, the filler in, to make someday, hopefully, a nice travelable road to get to Crable Park. So that's one of the solutions. If I kind of went over different things and heard what people said here tonight, I realize it'd be very costly to tear it down and replace it. But since it was mentioned tonight from some other lady, and yes, it is listed on the National Register of Historic Places, the bridge. And because it's listed, it qualifies for grants, am I correct? And you've probably checked all this out. But you won't, there's still not enough money through the different grants you may have checked out. So the balance, where's that gonna be paid from? The taxpayers probably, is what I was told. Well, that ain't gonna happen either, I'll tell you. So, but still, it would be a shame to, I can understand closing it now because of the safety reason, for sure. And I think everybody would agree to that. But, we've gotta do something, and I hope I live long enough to see what that something may
Me too.
be. To once again, to either drive or walk across that bridge, you know, again. And like I say, we have one of the most beautiful parks, you know, in the United States. And, like I say, to get there, when people would come off our bridge, take South Main and just would go straight into Crable Park. So, is the sewer trail really closed? I didn't think it was. Someone mentioned they thought it was the speaker.
There are signs on it.
Is there signs?
But it's not closed.
But it's not closed. Okay.
So for the record,
So
it's
if you
not
can
really a
read the
trail.
sign
It's-
that says closed,
Yes.
It's
you're not
not,
supposed to
it's
walk that
not
trail.
officially a trail. It's
Well-
been listed as such, and people
Yeah.
have treated it as such, but it is
You're
not
right.
officially a trail.
yeah, but a lot of people do walk on that and still do, I think. But let's see. Lisa Walsh, she made a lot of good points, you know. I wish she could come up here and speak for me, and, but some of the things she said tonight, I would have said the same thing.
I try to send her around and speak for me. She won't do that for me either, so.
Well, she's a good speaker. Comes from a good family too, and so forth. But, yes, I've always considered the Cascade Bridge to be the pathway to Crable Park. And we just don't want it to turn into the, a rainbow bridge, if you know what I'm referring to, where people believe where the pets that pass away cross over. We don't want it to turn into, we don't
No,
want
we
it to.
don't, Monica.
We don't want it to go into that, become
no.
something like that either. But that was a little humor. So anyhow, I took this from the Hawkeye. It said back in the year 2012 to cost to replace the bridge. Should that happen, the city would have to spend at least $250,000 just to demolish the bridge. Then the building, by building a new concrete bridge, it would estimate to cost $3 million. Now, that was the year 2012, so it probably costs more today. I heard some different figures today, and it was way more than that.
Yes.
I don't know where they got that from, but it's probably true, so forth. But, okay, to end this on a little lighter note, I'm noted for my sense of humor, I've been told. But coming here tonight and talking about the bridge reminded me of a memory I always have. But under that bridge was my first kiss. It really was. We double dated, and we took that sewer trail that starts off of Madison on our bikes, packed a picnic lunch, you know. The guys made the lunch. What was it? I hate mustard. Bologna and mustard. That's it. Just bologna and mustard sandwich. It was up to guys to make the lunch. And we rode our bikes on the sewer trail and parked them right underneath the bridge. And then we walked up along the side of the bridge, and you picture this, where it just starts off of South Main. There's a little ledge on the bridge you can sit on. We just sat on there and just kind of hung out, you know. So anyway, and if y'all remember the Hawkeye many years ago, back in the 50s, the editor was Stuart Aubrey. Anybody recognize that name? No, you're all too young, that's why. Well, it was his son that gave me a first kiss. But he asked me, though. He was polite. He was very nice. You know, I always did like him. But, so I have a fond memory of that bridge. You know, I always be there. And that was back in the early 60s then. And, but yeah, I agree with the reasons why it should be torn down, so to speak. But, and it'd be just so expensive. But getting back to grants, I don't know if there's more than one grant you can apply for or not. But if there's any, if you can kind of check and look, maybe other ways of funding that bridge to get it, you know, fixed,
We
repaired,
are
whatever.
definitely open to that. I said we are definitely open to that.
And I
so.
bet you're doing it right now, yeah. And I wish you all the luck, and I know you're doing all your best, you know. And so I appreciate you all hearing me tonight, and good luck.
I
Thank
appreciate you
Thank
coming
you.
down.
Thank
And thanks
you.
for sharing about your first kiss.
Yeah,
That's always good
yeah,
information
I thought
to
I'd
know.
say that towards the end.
Thanks, Monica.
My name is Bob Christensen. I live at 14 Cascade Terrace. And I keep running through my mind as if, what was it about Burlington that allowed them, as I understand, under protest really, to put the Cascade Bridge in then, and we can't replace it now? I think this action is somewhat precipitous because you either haven't considered or have chosen to ignore the traffic below the bridge, which is far more traffic than goes across it today. Some days there's a lot of pickup trucks and stuff that go down there. There's commercial traffic that goes down there. There's pedestrian traffic under there for the non-trail that actually does carry quite a few people from time to time. And if that bridge can suddenly fall, it can suddenly fall on a pickup truck, or it can suddenly fall on somebody walking down there on the sewer trail. And you seem to have chosen to ignore that. And I don't think that's quite right. We use the bridge in the summertime quite a lot. We like to go walk in the park, and if you live in Cascade Terrace and you want to go for a walk in the park, you either drive to go for a walk in the park or you go across the bridge. And I guess the other concern I have is I've seen Mayor McCampbell quoted several times in the press that this is not a priority. This is not a priority. And I think the irritation in the people that rely on that bridge and think it's important is that it doesn't ever seem to become a priority. I was following John's thing on Facebook the other day, and he stated in there that it was on the calendar for 2024. That's quite a long ways off, but even, you know, if people could rely on that being a fact rather than becoming a non-priority again, we might be able to walk to the same ground. But when there's no alternative other than that old bridge that you say is not safe, I frankly doubt that, but I understand where you're at and how you have to either inspect it or close it probably. But you ought to take it out. And I understand probably you don't want to take it out because then that removes a source of funding for you. So it's a sticky wicket. But the only people that are getting gored are the people that use that bridge on a regular basis. And I've never seen a crowd that would come anywhere near 4 tons. I'm heavy, but I'm not that heavy. But at any rate, I look forward to your upcoming meeting to look to the future, but I would urge you to maybe to delay this action until you've had that discussion and everybody understands where you're going.
I'd like to just address the, about the priority so that everybody has a good perspective. I've been on the council since 2012, and when I came on the council, we were financially bankrupt. We had to borrow money to pay payroll. So, yes, when you look at that compared to, when you look at that in the bigger scheme of things, yeah, it's low down on my priority list. Not because I don't value Cascade Bridge. I was born and raised in Burlington too. We used to drive past that with my father, who's passed away, but he'd slow down. We used to always go, you know, hurry up, I'm running out of bread. I don't know if anybody else did that, but we did it all the time. And Dad would slow down, you know, so we go, you know, I love it. I'm all in. You know, I'd like to see everybody walk across it. So don't think that we're on opposite sides, that we're the big bad council that wants to shut this down. We're on the same page. Everybody here has been across that bridge, and we all want it, but we still have to make the decision and do what's right. But as far as priority, yeah, we had to prioritize things, and at that time, and even still now, it's not on the top of my priority list. I want to be completely honest. It's moved up because now our finances are starting to get a little bit more in order. But to drive past potholes that'll practically bury you to get to that bridge, I think there's still other things that we need to make sure that we keep in perspective. So, yeah, I want to be completely honest with you. I still don't put it at the top of my list. I don't. I think there's other things that need to be done. But this is a long time coming. It took a lot of years.
Well, then you shouldn't close it to pedestrian traffic. You should make some, apparently there's just one point that is the question mark. That the rest of the bridge is probably, I can tell you it sure feels sound to me when I walk across it, but I don't weigh 4 tons.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
I do want to clarify a couple of points made, if it's all right, Mayor. So, one of the points I'd like to highlight is 4 tons may not seem like a lot, and I'm not an engineer, so all the information that I'm getting is coming strictly off of the engineering report. And Nick, please correct me if any of this is wrong, but according to this report, it would require 2% of span 3 to be occupied by persons, and that 2% would violate their load rating for that expansion. Is that correct, Nick? Is that accurate? Okay. And that to me is a great cause of concern. Like I said, I'm not an engineer, so the information I'm relying on is strictly what is in this report. The other thing that Chris alluded to is that we spent a significant amount of city money on projects. Well, I would like to highlight that the money that he's referring to, a majority of that money is outside funding that is earmarked strictly for those types of projects. So it's not like we could have taken those funds and used them for other types of projects, including Cascade Bridge. So I want to make sure to put that into perspective because I don't want there to be any misrepresentation there, so.
Thank you, Counselor.
Doesn't the regional, you folks go along to regional planning? Regional planning, do you still?
Yeah.
Yeah, we still read it.
We're still part of it.
So their job is to find money for projects like this.
This is actually something that we have worked with them on multiple different grant sources. We've had some where they thought that there was a potential just from we meet the base criteria. One that was here even within the last year that would have required the state to certify this as one of the projects they wanted to do, and it wasn't one that moved up the priority list at a statewide level to get to that. But yeah, Southeast Iowa Regional Planning has looked at multiple avenues to try to fund this and continues to do so.
It seemed like, it's like watching grass grow, nothing happens.
Everything's moved slow. It just takes longer.
And I can tell you that a bridge project, if it costs $2 million a day, it'll cost you $3 million in 2024. So, and cheap money, what's the better way to do it?
The other thing is Nick, do you by any chance have the estimates from 2012 for replacement and repair, what those were?
No.
'Cause I heard a number that was inaccurate.
This is really on this side, this is for the work session on the 29th, and we'll get to it.
Okay.
And that number was inaccurate, but we'll get to it then.
Thank you. Let's point of order and let's take this
Sorry, I
again.
won't be here on
This
the
is-
29th. It's me again, Joanna. I just had the question. We used to own a cabin down there under the bridge. We don't belong to the boat club down there anymore. But what is your plan for those people down there to be able to get down to their place? If you close this bridge above, you have to close the road below because the bridge could fall on them.
Would that fall into the work
Do
session?
you have a plan?
That's not what what their load rating and concern was about. It didn't address traffic below. It addressed weight load on it that could contribute to cause something. They didn't have a statement, a recommendation that you have a bridge that is going to collapse under its existing weight. Now, that being said, the council does have to think, how are we proceeding moving forward? But that's, again, the 29th. At this time, you have a recommendation from the engineer for closing for pedestrian traffic across it. And
But
yes,
I
you're gonna have,
understand what
you're
he's-
gonna have to have future discussions about what to do with the bridge, but that's at a further meeting.
Well, the way that young man talked about it, there's one section that could fall at any time. And I'm just saying, we don't own a cabin down there anymore, but if I did, I wouldn't be able to get down there. And I think it's something you have to think about.
Thank you, Joe.
Again, Steve Rowland, 2838 South Main Street. The email that I sent a week ago requested a copy of the Calhoun report. Is somebody going to tell me where I can find it? Or is somebody going to provide it to me? Or how do I get it? Thank you.
Mr. McGregor?
It was in the packet, but here's a copy of it.
I don't know what I was coming up for.
I think you're just going to do Steve, and then you would have dropped that off and you just kept coming. Get out of here. Is there any other comments on closing the?
And part of what Steve Rowland probably, what you would want, there was an evaluation that was done in 2008. That is not the report that you are asking about, but it's the basis for what they would have looked at, and you would have to work through Public Works during the day to see if you can find what that is.
Terry?
Terry Ariano, 2800 South Main Street. I think everybody knows that I'm rather bothered that the bridge isn't there. But the last thing that I would like to see happen is anybody to be injured. And if there is any destruction or that bridge falls, that's gonna push this way past 2024. And I think that it's really important that we do everything precaution in order to protect the people here. And as you said at the work session, to talk about the road below. Burlington Northern has to get down there to do work besides the boat club, and there are other private residents. So I'm in support of seeing that closed.
Thank you, Terry.
And then secondly, I would like to add on to what Lisa Walsh was saying, and to let the council know that there is a tremendous amount of support for people who want to get behind this and want to help try to find some money to be able to do this sooner than later, rather than waiting for 2024 to start the planning. Let's get some support and some money and behind that. I just want to say, in the 10 years that it's been closed, my property taxes have gone up, and I have paid $100,000 in 10 years, an increase, even though I've had less amenities since I'm there. If you count the other 12 residents that are there, and you start adding all our increases because of new assessments, we see that there's money going there. Now, of course, it can't be just earmarked for our area, but we know that there's money there and we want to help support it. So we're behind you on it.
Thank you, Terry.
Thank you.
Thank you, Terry.
Is there anybody else that didn't get a chance to speak? No. Yeah, go. Come on up, sir. Mama says you're on your own.
Norman Schaefer, 6075 Madison. I'm out of the city limits. I don't know if I count, but I think Cascade's kind of a neat bridge, and it's very historic. It's probably very unique to the state of Iowa, probably. Very few left that probably should be saved and not demoed. But to the point, I think the bridge probably should be closed now, but I think it should be repaired to get back, so people get back on foot traffic or ride bikes, open it up. Maybe that section that's a 4-ton section can be repaired in the meantime, just to get it open for people to walk across it, at least it's something. Or some kind of a temporary fix, because to close it and wait 5 years seems like a long time. And the bridge is not gonna self-heal itself, it's just gonna get worse and worse. I think some money should be spent, just at least patch it. Maybe make the bridge a one-way bridge from Main Street, go south one way with to where people can drive at least and walk on it, and bikes and stuff. It's also Great River Road, it's kind of important. There's also Main Street, and it goes to a park. It shouldn't be closed for another 5 years. Then in 5 years, there's still no guarantee if anything's gonna be done. But I think it should be some kind of a quick fix, spend a little money on it, get it kind of up and running some way. It doesn't need to be a $10 million concrete bridge sitting there. It should be something, you should preserve what's sitting there. It's pretty unique. You start tearing all this history in this town, and there's nothing left to come to. There's just nothing. I think it's just too neat to demo, because it can never be replaced. So I'm sure there's people out there that can fix this bridge, take out that 4-ton section, put it to a 10-ton, so people can walk across it safely, spend a little money on it. Because it's been sitting there for years. It is bad. I'm just babbling, but I think it should be closed. But in the meantime, start fixing it to at least people can walk across it. At least that. Maybe not cars, but something. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Norm.
That's a Citizens Academy graduate. Is there anybody that we missed? Rob is double dipping.
Robert Kreitzer, 810 North Fifth. We could put a rope bridge to the side, and I would love it. We could put a zip line in, whatever you want. I think a rope bridge would be awesome. I don't think that'd be a lot of money.
Or the next circus gets up here.
Marlon, what do you think about it?
1121 South 12th Street, Burlington, Iowa. I met with Matt the other day about some insurance things, and we briefly discussed this. And he showed me some pictures. So today, yes, I used your closed sewer walk. And, because we talked about
building a dam, and he said, well, you're gonna flood a lot of houses. Well, I walked that to see what was gonna be flooded. It'll be the tennis club will be what will be flooded. But I'm no coward. When I walked across that bridge, I walked about 10 foot on the grading, and I hit the concrete on the west side and held onto the railing going all the way across the rest of it, and I could hear my footsteps on the concrete. Now that's hollow concrete when you can hear your footsteps. So there's more than just the structural of the steel. The concrete walk is not the best in the world either. But the TIF money that we're letting all these high-end houses have, and you just let Mr. Cahill have the TIF money, those tax dollars could have been coming in and going toward this project. But Matt was bringing up that you were gonna flood a lot of houses because of and I walked it, and you're not gonna flood that many.
Just to
We
put in
couldn't pull up-
perspective, Marlon had made the suggestion that we put a dam up and
I brought
flood
it up
everything
about
back to
putting the dam
Crapo, so that wasn't my
No, it
suggestion.
wasn't.
I want to
He
make sure
was
he's not
explaining
putting
why we
words in my
couldn't
mouth
do
here.
it. It was my suggestion of why we don't do it, because it's been brought up in the past about and the people bring it up about putting in the road for the Cascade Landing. There's a sign up that says that's a private road, so why do we have to do anything for them? They have a boat club. They have boats to get where they want to get down there. Anyway, if the bridge falls, you can gravel over the top of the bridge, and then you got the road for them.
All right. Must've been an open bar tonight. They're getting crazy. Is there anybody, thank you, Mark. Is there anybody else that hasn't had a chance to say their piece now? I think we're all starting to get the message, but I just want to make sure if you came down here and you wanted to speak, you got a chance to say your piece. Okay. Again, I'm gonna let the council speak. I just want to reiterate because one, this is just about making sure that we cover the city. And as representatives of the city, that's what you want us to do, whether you want that bridge closed or not. You want us to make sure that we protect you and that we don't put you in a situation where it's gonna cost us more money. That's what this is about right now. This is about protecting us, protecting others, protecting the dollar. I know you don't like the way it sounds. Just to remind everybody again, I'm all in on Cascade Bridge. I'm all in. Not at the top of the priority list, sir. Not at the top of the priority list. But I still think there's more than one way to skin a cat. I don't believe that we're gonna give up. But for now, I'm going to vote yes on closing that up, and I want it closed up tight. I want a really high fence so that nobody can climb over it. I want signs and beacon lights saying stay away from it for now. For now. It almost sounds like for no. I blame him for all our problems. But that's where I'm at. I do it publicly and behind his back. But that's where I am. I just want everybody to know again, and everybody can speak for themselves, but I am gonna vote yes on this, move forward, but it's not because I give up on Cascade Bridge or anything to that sort. I think we need to keep moving forward and finding different ways. I appreciate what you had to say tonight as well. Council?
Well, for me, well, I'm all for closing it. The last thing I want to be is the council that didn't take precautions and we have someone get hurt. Now, that being said, I also would like to be the council that puts some plans in place where we do plan on replacing the bridge, whether it's 2024 or we look at other options. And that's what the point of the next work session is. And we'll probably take several work sessions to figure that out. I've enjoyed Cascade Bridge. I love driving over it, love the view, love the access to the park, but to be blunt, I've lived without it too. But that doesn't mean I don't miss it. I am with Shane, it's on my priority list, but it fluctuates depending on the day and what our needs are that are come up. But I do think that this council, I think you have 3 new people, and Shane said it, I think you have a council that's willing to work on it. Now, you might not like the answers, and it might not come quick enough, but I think there's a commitment here, based on some conversations we've had. So, but for right now, I'm sorry, I just can't take the risk. I'm voting to close it, so.
So, I'll say that first off, a lot of you in the room sent us emails this week. I tried to respond to as many as I could, but we got a lot of them. But I want everybody to know that I did take the time to read them. I also read in depth the engineering report, and the information that we received from our city attorney and the advice from him. I'd also like to say that I took a couple of hours, and went down there Thursday morning and walked across the bridge, walked below the bridge, and spent as much time as I could trying to understand what the report was trying to tell us. I took pictures, and I did show them to Marlon. And you're right, there are spots on the bridge where currently you can see daylight, where there should be steel, which is the greatest cause for concern. It is an attractive nuisance. I'm going to support the motion here today to close the bridge. We can't talk about a resolution, whether it's short-term or long-term, but I believe that this council has a responsibility to come up with some type of short-term action in order to, A, make sure that it is a safe and secure spot for both the people that could be on top of the bridge and the people below the bridge, but also to try and come up with a resolution to provide access to the park from the north side. I don't know what that's going to be yet. We can't talk about that yet this evening, but I do want people to know that it's on the forefront of our minds.
I'm a risk taker. I truly am. I love Cascade Bridge. I'm a heavy user, probably bike or walk across it at least once a week. However, when it comes to taking risks for other people, I'm not in. I think we need to close it to keep it safe for the public, sadly. But I was really impressed and enthused and motivated by all the support that's in this room tonight. Never underestimate the power of dedicated, passionate citizens. And I'm firmly convinced that we can pool our resources and we can get this done. And I hope that we can move that time frame up from 2024. Because those of you that know me know that I ran for city council on infrastructure, that we don't deserve to have a Cascade Bridge that's closed. We deserve to have a Cascade Bridge that is open to the public, to the bikers, to the walkers, to the people walking their dogs, to the people that love and use our beautiful parks. So I've been getting lots of emails. I appreciate that. I'm trying to get a hold of everybody. Getting emails as I speak here. There was a bridge similar to ours down in Cajun country, is that Louisiana, somewhere down south, similar to ours on the National Historic Register. They contacted a group called the Historic Bridge Foundation. They did find monies, and they did get it repaired. So I'm optimistic. We're not there yet, and we probably won't be there tomorrow or next year, but we can pool our resources, and maybe we can get this thing fixed or repaired.
All right, let's get down to business. Do it. Can I get a motion to close?
Your Honor, I have a
closed.
motion.
There's no hearing.
We just need to vote.
Oh, we're on resolutions, aren't we?
resolutions, yeah.
Well, then let me back up from that and let's resolve this. Kathleen?
Phillips,
Aye.
Graham Murray,
Aye.
McCampbell,
Aye.
Rinker.
Aye.
Okay. Again, I want to thank everybody for coming down for that. If you just came down for Cascade Bridge and you want to dip out, you are more than welcome to leave. So we definitely thank you for your input and thank you for your patience as well.
And I know it's not the answer you wanted, folks. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you.
Appreciate you, man. Monica, thank you for coming down tonight. Yes, I did.
love that story.
That was all true.
You should write a book about that.
What?
You should write a book about that. And then the proceeds go to fund Cascade Bridge.
Yeah, but I'm really a shy person, Norman. You wouldn't think so, but I am.
Thank you for coming down. No, my brother did.
Yeah, my husband, retired.
Is that right? Well, you can pick your friends, you can't pick your family. Don't blame me.
But don't, you can pick your friends, and you can pick your nose, but don't ever pick your friends. Huh? Oh,
Yeah, we're live. They just caught that, hon.
oh
So
my.
not only did we hear your kissing story, but now we heard you can't pick
picking
your
your
friend's nose. That's right. Okay, guys, we're gonna try to roll downhill for the rest of this, and again, thank you guys for your patience, cooperation, and your participation. I mean that. Okay, number 2, resolution, Mr. Rinker.
Your Honor, I have a resolution approving loan agreement authorizing the issuance of 4.8 million general obligation corporate purpose bonds, Series 2019A, and providing for the levy of taxes to pay the same.
Second.
We've gone through this a few times, but this sets aside or authorizes funding for the purchase of a fire pumper truck. I hate that I don't know that I have the right name on that as I'm going through that. Streets, our miscellaneous street rehab program of 1.55 million. Airport runway extension, a little over 600,000. It has the adaptive signalization on Highway 61, about 500,000. Broadway extension in the 900,000 range, and provides funding for the demo of the PD building, 500,000. Total in that 4.8 million range with all the contingencies, fees that were associated with the bonds. We did approve on April 1st, and it's noted in the resolution, the purchase agreement for the sale of the bonds. This follows up on that and has a, you'll note, I think it's in section 1 has a repayment schedule for the bonds, and section 6 has the authorization and levy of taxes on an annual basis for the repayment of the principal and interest. It essentially puts into place everything with this loan agreement, and we'll go forward with authorization for the repayment of bonds for the borrowing with this.
Questions or concerns from the audience? We've been here before. I see none. Council?
No questions.
Kathleen?
Phillips,
Aye.
Graham Murray,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Rinker.
Aye.
Okay, number 3.
Your Honor, I have a resolution approving the City Council Chamber AV update with Tri-City Electric Communications.
Hello, I need a second.
Second.
Thank you. Seth?
So in your packet's a memo just recapping, one of the goals of the city council, when you had your goal setting, was to improve this room. So we went out to bid at the beginning of March and got the bids back. They're recapped in Exhibit A. Basically, we're gonna reuse some of the equipment we already have here. We're gonna keep the screen, we're gonna get a new projector, we're getting new cameras. We're keeping the audio, that's staying the same. You can kind of read through. We're gonna add 2 70-inch screens for this side of the room. And one thing that I didn't mention last week was the pictures. So, Eric, if you want to put that picture up here, I did some research. We're thinking we'll have to take 2 rows of the pictures to get the screens up there. And the thought was to purchase something like this and have it out in the hallway, so people could browse through the pictures. They could actually get closer up, take their own picture of it, than coming in here. So if you're okay with that, that'll be kind of the project too, as we're remodeling the room too.
Will it be for the top 2 rows?
Yeah, I think, we were looking at doing, I mean, we're out of space over there right now, so if we leave the bottom rows there, then the TVs will be fine. But if anybody has an objection to that, I mean, already at the next election, we're gonna have to find room for the next one too, so.
I think that'll look nice, more streamlined. After a while, they start hanging a little crooked.
Yeah, we were thinking we could maybe, some of the.
Spruce it up in here a little
Right,
bit.
the frames to be uniform, the ones left, so.
See, I kind of like seeing them up on the wall, so you can walk by and just view all the history all at once. Hate to be the outsider on that, but.
I can't say that I disagree, but I don't know what other type of what.
Well, it would be to move them,
you'd
we
be
got
able to-
that wall, back that wall, I mean, they still wouldn't be all together, we'd have to break them out by.
I love them up on the wall myself, I really do. I just like, I love the history of it. When you walk in and you can just.
Is there other hallways we could put them in the building? rather than have them in
What
here.
if we hung them all in Jim's office? Would that
Yeah.
work?
Well, I mean, I was like up and down the stairway. There's nothing hanging in the stairway, but, you know, downstairs we have the pictures of all the mayors, so I don't think there's any room. I mean, there's some out in that hallway, but not a lot, not to get,
Fun with up and
you
down
know.
the stairway, to be honest with you.
But yeah, I mean, and again, this was just
Are they
a
subject to
suggestion.
more damage if they're on the stairway, though? I mean, maybe not.
I don't know. But,
I've used these before in schools and museums, and they are really nice.
yeah, I mean, I like the idea of that, you know, maybe we have it up here on third floor, and maybe at some point we decide we wanna wheel it down to the first floor, you know, where the other pictures are too. I mean, it's kinda mobile, it doesn't have to be permanent either. If you wanted it in here, we could have it in here, I mean, but, and,
Whatever the majority, that's just me, but I wouldn't want to put those in a catalog. I like leaving them up. I just like,
well, why don't you think about it, like I said, we didn't talk about this last week, this is
Okay.
not part of the resolution, it's
Okay.
just knowing that those pictures are gonna have to come down when this project starts. But I can, you know, if you guys decide we wanna hang them on the walls, that's fine with me in the hallway, we can have property maintenance do that.
Okay.
So, any questions on the bid or proposals?
Good, coming under
Hey,
budget.
what's happening with the old projector?
Staying.
I know
No, it's replaced.
we've always kept the one we've had before just for, I know, if Rich was here, he'd tell us what we used the last one for. I wanna say there was somebody, the golf course, now that they have that, simulator, they've used a projector, so we thought maybe we would keep it on site in case something happened. They had another one that got hit
Okay.
by a golf ball, so
Sounds good. Sounds
this
good.
could be the backup, but, I mean,
Either
No,
that,
that sounds good.
if that one's better than the one the course is using, we can use the course's old one as backup.
exactly. So yeah, it will be reused in the city, we don't have any plans to get rid of it, so.
Does anybody have any questions or concerns from the audience? I see none.
TVs go over there?
I'm sorry, excuse me?
Could the TVs go over there?
I think one is. We already got the.
No, we
Why
went
are we
through,
doing
well, actually, there's gonna be the bigger screen over here, is that what's going on? And then,
Yeah, so here's, when we did the proposal, we decided so that this side of the room could see better, Jim can look at there, and then they're gonna swivel, so if we do have some things where we want both of them facing this way, we can. But that's kind of how we went out to bid with two 70-inch TVs on that side of the room, and keep that, you
And
guys
still
wanted
the
to
big
keep
screen.
that big screen.
right on. Council, any other questions?
None.
Marlon, did you have a question?
I was just looking at that wall up there.
Just a thought?
Saving your pictures for you. Trying to help you here, buddy,
I appreciate that, sir.
for once.
Council, let's vote. Kathleen?
Ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Phillips?
Aye.
Graham Murray? Aye. McCampbell?
Aye.
Rinker?
Aye.
Four?
Your Honor, I have a resolution approving the advanced construction funds associated with the Tiger grant funding.
Take a second.
Second.
Thank you, sir.
This is an addition from the work session. We found out Wednesday last week that Federal Highway and the DOT have authorized us to use advanced construction for the Tiger funds. So the Tiger grant agreement has taken a little bit of time to come to conclusion on. And so the timeline of that has not backed off. And so we've expressed our concerns with being able to meet the environmental review type material that we need to do. So we've requested advanced construction funds. So this resolution simply authorizes us to use it. So what will happen is we requested $95,000, which they did an 80-20 match on, which wasn't correct in my book, but it's $76,000 to begin, to at least get under contract with an engineering firm, which is the second resolution, to begin engineering services on that. So prior to that, we went through an RFQ process, but we couldn't get under contract with the engineering firm until we had an agreement in place. This advanced construction allows us to do that.
Right on.
And even though it's written as a 80-20 upfront, we will have no match on this. It will end up in the final being 100%, so it's just during a drawdown on the first piece. And they aren't really concerned about a dollar amount, and the engineering firm isn't either. They'll make sure they don't bill over the dollar amount that's in here until we get to where we have a final contract in place. But this allows them to get started, and DOT wants us to get started on some of this design work. Just
We need to.
When's a reasonable expectation that all this is gonna go out to bid?
2021?
Okay.
Well, it might be the end of 2020 calendar year. We have some DEPA stuff due. It's environmental work, and then some and preliminary engineering. So DOT reviews that. So that's in the fall of 2020. So you theoretically could go out to bid probably in October, November.
Late 2020. And then, at what point in time are we gonna put the steering committee back together to oversee some of the planning and stuff like that?
Probably after we get this put
As soon as-
together, we'll begin some planning stuff.
Okay, all right, that's it.
Questions or concerns from the audience? I see none. Council? Kathleen?
Phillips.
Aye.
Graham Murray.
Aye.
McCampbell.
Aye.
Ricker.
Aye.
Number 5.
Your Honor, I have a resolution approving engineering services agreement with Veenstra and Kim for advanced construction funds associated with the Tiger Grant.
So this resolution.
Sorry, need a second.
Second.
Sorry. This resolution will put us under contract for the full amount of engineering services with the Tiger Grant. It's simply, the title maybe is a little wonky on the way that I worded it, but it was prior to really knowing all the details. So we went through an RFQ process, regional planning assisted and advertising. I think there was 5 firms that we reviewed after some scoring and some discussion amongst the people on that group. We arrived at Veenstra and Kim. They're the same group that has designed the flood wall work and done a lot of the riverfront. There was another one that had a pretty good submittal, and we felt that that Veenstra and Kim, with the work that they've done on the riverfront, it would help pull that all together. So, to be honest, I haven't read through all of the materials, but I know that I've had folks that have done it. But the full amount for engineering services is highlighted on page 3. It is 1.665 million. And then it's got a breakdown of all the sub-consultants of what that means. So right off the bat, we will begin the biggest thing is environmental, and I keep saying that. So what does that mean? So because we're going to be potentially out in the channel with some docking work, mussel studies, things like that, and because it's close on the river, they have to do archaeological type work too. A lot of it has already been tore up over the years, and then there's roads over top of it. So we shouldn't have too much trouble with that, but it's just you have to get it started, and so that's what all this is. So you should see a Tiger Grant agreement. We had another iteration come back from Federal Highway, so you should see that coming, but we didn't want to wait anymore on trying to get things started from an engineering standpoint.
Right on.
Okay.
Questions or concerns from the audience? Council, are we good?
Yep.
Good.
Kathleen, let's vote, please.
Phillips.
Aye.
Graham Murray.
Aye.
McCampbell.
Aye.
Ricker.
Aye.
Your Honor, I have a resolution approving the engineering services agreement with Veenstra and Kim for the green infrastructure project in the Locust Basin.
Second.
Second.
Thank you, both of you. Mr. Repke.
Oh,
It's all about you, sir.
That's a long meeting.
Yes, it has.
I do, yeah, and I will have a comment at the
It was
end comment
star-studded,
section.
though.
The Locust Basin, I understand that's doing, the parking lot at Grimes, tearing out a perfectly good parking lot and putting bricks in, and a street. Why, I mean.
Sorry, man. Go ahead.
I mean, I'm for infrastructure, but why redo something that doesn't need to be redone? We don't own that parking lot, that's a school parking lot. New stuff also tends to cost more, what's it gonna be with plowing the street and those type of things. Also, I mean, this is not free money, you're gonna be paying it back through our sewer bills. I'd like to see that $600,000, if you have to borrow it, keep it, so if you have a problem, like happened between True Value and Family Dollar, where you had to dig up huge amounts of dirt to fix a sewer. That's the type of things you need money for. Not something that makes you feel good and looks good, but something that's practical, takes care of the problems when you're tight on money already. Save that $600,000 if you need to borrow it for something else, like a major project that happened there between True Value and Family Dollar.
James, you want to address that, please?
The majority of this funds is state funds. It's only available to do a project like this.
You don't need to take it then.
No, we don't. The council doesn't have to move forward with this, although, however, the other part of that is that doing projects like this help us as we go and talk about trying to get an extension on our combined sewer separation work. This is the kind of project the state wants to see for water, clean water quality, clean water. And this is a trade-off that they're willing to see and put money into to try to help give us a way to manage the work that we have to do on the other side too.
But they're not paying for it, we are paying for it.
They're paying for a little over $500,000 of a $600,000 project.
But still, we're paying quite a bit. I mean, Mr. Rinker, I'm still irritated about the Cascade Bridge thing. I'll bring that up now. You mentioned, this is, I'll do that later. I'm really irritated, so, about that. But again, do we have to spend it? Because they're giving money, do we have to spend money? Yeah, it might look good, but things looking good doesn't mean you have to spend money. I mean, if I need a new roof on the car, on my house, in the car, I can get a car for $10,000 off. Oh, I'm saving money. I get a $10,000 car cheaper. Oh, yeah, but my roof's falling apart. You gotta spend it more wisely. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from the audience? Council, are we good?
Yep.
Kathleen, let's vote.
Phillips.
Aye.
Graham Murray.
Aye.
McCampbell.
Aye.
Rinker.
Aye.
Okay, now this is time where we will entertain comments from the audience that we already haven't had, but we're welcoming them all the same.
I gotta be going. I'm a little irritated. Yes, you're right, it's grant money, but you don't have to take grant money. To say this, we're spending this $1 million at the Recplex because we got grant money. You don't have to take that grant money. So that's just kind of playing semantics on things, and that's really irritating. It's kind of like Madison Avenue. Oh, we can't afford not to take this grant money, so we're gonna do it and remove all this. So it's a playing of games on things, and I don't appreciate that. Sorry, that irritated me.
Thank you, sir.
I gotta go.
Thanks for coming down, Chris. Thanks for coming down. Anybody else? Iowa Hawkeye fan.
Yes. My name is Dean Finney-Sam Vermitorum. I'll try to make this quick because I want to get home. Basically, I think you all do a good job. What you do, I think they did an excellent job this winter on the streets. Mount Pleasant Bridge, it's looking excellent. I'm surprised how fast they're getting done with that.
No doubt.
Basically, the other two things you have no control over, but I like this, I'm concerned about. We're going further out, taking more farmland. We got a whole bunch of land in this city that nobody's using. We got a whole bunch of buildings that are empty in this city. You got Shopko going bye-bye. And at Leopold, that going bye-bye. And I just wish that, I know you can't do nothing, but I wish that we could people use more of the land in the city and do something about a lot of these old buildings that are empty. And I'm not gonna mention, we had enough about Cascade Bridge. Basically, the mayor, thanks for all your years here. You did a okay job. Basically, we got to tell the Cubs, come on, get going, win, come on.
Last place is a good spot for the Cubs.
But you all have a nice night. May the Lord watch over you, keep you, and peace be with you. I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna get something to eat, so.
Bless you. Thanks for coming down and sitting through, sir. That's a Mayor's Award winner, by the way. Yes, ma'am.
I'm
I'm Mary Saxon, a proud graduate of the Citizen Academy.
All right, Mary.
I was so incredibly impressed with all the department heads that I met and how they informed everyone and took all their time for just 8 of us. And thank you so much for the opportunity. And it's incredible. Made me very proud to live here. Thanks so much.
Great.
Wow,
Thank
you
you.
stuck around through all this drama to give us that message. Thank you,
Now,
Mary.
where's the camera when we need it? That other camera guy.
No doubt. Thank you, Mary. Skillet.
Good morning, or good evening, James Weinrich. I'm coming as a concerned parent with the school zone issue that we're having on Sunnyside. Multiple times I've been almost struck by vehicles crossing the street. School zone, speed ends at 4 o'clock. School does not get out till 4:05. What are we gonna do to resolve this issue before someone gets
That's a
struck
good
by a
point.
vehicle?
It's a very valid point.
very
And that's
good
something that changed as a result of them extending the day.
For makeup days.
Yeah, because of winter.
I did call the police department multiple times. Last Wednesday, an officer came out, stuck around for 20 minutes. 4 o'clock, school zone's done, he's gone. There was a car 55, 60 miles an hour down the school zone. Something needs to be done.
Can we
Because
change
this
the
is,
sign?
comments of the audience, it's not a Q&A, and this isn't on the agenda, so we can't have a conversation back and forth with you. I wanted to make sure you came down so you could express that, so that people that needed to hear it could hear that. And if you want to stick around, we're going to be done here in a couple minutes. If you can stick around for just a couple more minutes.
I appreciate you reaching out to me too.
Absolutely, absolutely. I appreciate you. For Karen.
Yes.
For Karen.
I mean, nothing's being done. The school zone person that, Kirby Cork used to do it. He took another position. Not always can get out there for a crosswalk. Crosswalk's not even marked with white lines. I don't know.
I think that's one that got past some people, but thank you for
My
coming
concern.
down, my
Thank
friend.
you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming down, my friend. You heard that, didn't you, James?
What's that?
That means he heard you. Is there anybody else down here with comments? Okay. I want to thank you, Mr. Weinrich. Somebody's going to get on that for you, and make sure you message me. Do I get your cell phone number? Yes, sir. Okay. Again, Mary, thank you for coming down. Bless you, bless you. Dean, you are such a blessing. We certainly appreciate you. We appreciate everybody in this room except for Marlon McKee. Is he still here? Did he hear me? All right, let's go ahead and wrap it up. Mr. Teslin, anything closing? Kathleen, you got anything closing? Peanut butter.
Of course. Make sure you think about what you're doing Friday, April 26th. The Burlington Spring Sip, Taste, and Stroll is going on, and you can purchase tickets for that, and I plan on attending that with my husband. I think it sounds like a fantastic event. So again, that's April 26th from 5 to 8, the Burlington Spring Sip, Taste, and Stroll.
All right. Counselor.
All right, I'm gonna put my carnival barker on. Our own David Hightower is defending the honor of Burlington
This is going to be ugly.
this Saturday at Impact Wrestling at the Memorial Auditorium. One of the wrestlers, T.S. Aggressor, called Burlington the armpit of the Midwest.
Hold on, come up here.
Hightower has agreed to fight him. So Dave will be wrestling.
Hey, stand right up here. Do me a favor, pay rent before you fight this guy, would you please?
Hey, so anyway, Dave will be wrestling. Please buy your tickets, come down and show up. Any of the city staff wants to watch Dave get the snot beat out of him, let me know. I have some VIP tickets and access that I can get you in.
You have
no problem.
VIP?
Dave, I want to see a pose.
Show them your pose, Hightower.
Got a
See your
pose.
pose, Hightower.
Yeah.
You gotta do this. We can't let him call Burlington an armpit. We can't do it.
T.S. Aggressor, I don't know if you've checked that out on Impact Wrestling. He's a big boy.
He's also a member of the Inhumane Society.
Inhumane.
And then consequently, immediately following the wrestling, we'll be taking donations for David Hightower's hospitalization.
I just want to say, I've got a message for Hightower. It was nice knowing you. That being said, I do appreciate everybody coming down about the Cascade Bridge. Again, I want to encourage you, to send us in some emails. If you can't make it down, we want to hear from you. And maybe you've sent them in the past, or you've heard that there's no point, they don't read the emails. I say send them. We read them.
We
Send
read
them
'em.
on down. So we appreciate everybody's cooperation tonight. Counselor?
Nothing. I look forward to seeing David's match this week, and we'll clear that chairs out of the way, so next week we can roll the gurney right in, and you can sit here and do the work that's needed.
Thank you for your support.
James? Mr. McGregor? You're rolling him out.
Central and Division, we began work. We're patching some of the concrete. I think I've alluded to it in the past. We're gonna then replace the old loops with a puck and wireless system, so it'll take a little while to get that programming done, but the timing at that intersection will be much better in a couple weeks.
4 days, you said? 4 days construction time, right?
No, we have to pour concrete, so that'll be, can't do both lanes at the same time, so we have to alternate. And then I also have some flooding stuff that the guys are gonna have to take care of, so it'll take some staff off of that. But unfortunately, Mount Pleasant Street Bridge is going well, but there was some vandalism over, I don't know, the weekend or something. There's some graffiti on the east abutment, so fortunately, it's not even open yet, and we already have.
Jeez, man. Have some pride.
That's why we can't have nice
But
things.
I have my money out for if you wanna give it to the wrestler to kick Hightower's.
Yeah.
We love you, man.
I wanna know what the odds are. That's all I'm asking.
He always wants to know the odds.
80 to 1?
Safe money is always on me.
Would like to say thanks for those who did participate in the Citizens Academy.
Absolutely.
Having folks who I mean, we put a lot of time in. Actually, Eric and Jessica put a lot of time in to make that happen, to spend every Thursday with you for 8 weeks. Is that what it was? The departments see the value in it, to have folks who understand. The more that people can understand about what goes on, the better informed our whole community is, and the better that we can work together. We value that, so we're very happy that you're participating in that. And thanks to the council too, to those of you who were able to be involved with the first session as we kick that off this year. I don't know that I really have anything else. It's been a long night, so.
Okay. Well, let's get it on. Can I get a motion?
Motion to close.
Second.
Moved in second twice. Kathleen?
Phillips,
Yes, indeedy.
Graham Murray,
Yes.
McCampbell.
Second Dee.
Yes, please.
Just long enough. I
Raker.
can't pick up my kid.
Okay. This meeting's adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Good night.